One word has dominated the headlines over the past couple of days. And if you've guessed Kpods, that's what we're talking about today. Now, this isn't about fruit-flavored or nicotine-infused vapes anymore. It's about drug-laced devices, some containing substances so strong that users get the shakes, walk around like zombies, or struggle to function normally. Many of them are young people, and the stories are heartbreaking. Parents have reported cases where their kids tried to harm themselves or worse, attempt suicide while high. Now, to confront this growing problem, the Straits Times has launched Vaping, the Invisible Crisis campaign, as a way to raise awareness and to advocate for stronger measures to tackle the issue. Now, today I'm joined by three guests who will share their viewpoints on Kpods and vaping. And before we get into it, if you have any questions or hot takes for my guests as we chat, drop them in the comments and I'll keep an eye out for them. Now, back to my guests. My first guest is my colleague from the Straits Times and crime reporter, Nadine Chua. Welcome to the show, Nadine. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And next to you on the couch is Kang SMC MP Weng. Now, you've raised multiple questions in Parliament on vaping in the past few years, and you also have 5 kids aged between 7 and 15. So they're about the age where many of the users kind of get into Kpods.
In primary school and secondary school,
Okay, we'll talk about it in a bit. And my other guest on the couch is Narasimman Tivasiha Mani, who is the Executive Director of youth mental health charity Impart. And you've encountered teens using Kpods. And you've also done outreach and engagement for youth who struggle with drug-related issues beyond Kpods as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, guys. Thank you very much. I want to start with Nadine. So you've been reporting this from the ground. And for those who have only seen the headlines, can you help us understand what's going on with Kpods? Like, what is it and what does it do to users?
So there's like 2 sections. There's vapes and then there's Kpods. And vapes are usually laced with nicotine. And when it comes to Kpods, it's really scary because what's inside is this drug called etomidate. And what it does, it's originally intended for usage in the medical field. So under clinical supervision, it's supposed to be injected directly into the veins. But when it is inhaled via vapes and through the lungs, it actually causes seizures. Like you said, the users walk around like zombies and they just kind of lose control. And that's what's so scary about it, because now Kpods are really taking over and many, many young people are using it.
Are we not see? So we've seen videos. I've seen videos.
Yeah.
And I've seen the kids walking around. What's going on behind closed doors that we're not seeing? Like,
I think, the kids, they used to be doing it quite discreetly, secretly in their rooms. Now it's become such a normalised phenomenon that people are just doing it in the parks or at malls. Parents have written in to tell us that their kids, used to be quite shy about it. They would hide it in the drawers. Now they just lay it out on the kitchen table and they just use it, outside schools even. And I think that's scary because with the young people and all the influence that they have with each other nowadays, they're all just using it together and it's quite normalized.
So you've covered drug-related issues beyond Kpods, in the course of your career, right? What makes the Kpod situation different?
Well, I think it's very insidious because you don't know the health effects that it has on the person. And I think many users, they have told us that they actually didn't really know the health effects it has on them. With drugs, it's pretty clear that, there's certain health effects and it's been made clear throughout the years, especially in Singapore. But with Kpods and with the drug etomidate inside it, they don't know what's going to happen. And then when they take it and when they start being addicted to it, it gets a bit too late. And then many of them, they say that they lose their jobs or they get fired because they just don't turn up for work. They can't turn up for work because they are so dazed out that they just kind of lose their train of thoughts and how they usually would function on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's why it's so much scarier than drugs.
I want to ask Naresh for a second, because you have dealt with kids who have, smoked these Kpods, right? What are they saying in their circles about vapes or these drug-laced vapes? Like, what do they call it? How do they get it? I'm surprised they're kids. Like, how do you get? To me, it's shocking, and I'm probably a bit naive about it because I don't go looking for it. But what are you hearing about kids?
There's a very relaxed mind state about the whole Kpods or vape taking, right, or consuming it. So I think a lot of these young people are just getting the vapes from like Telegram groups, WhatsApp, informally. They are able to just reach out to someone and you can get it as soon as like 20 minutes.
Wow, this express service. Wow.
That's right, that's right. So a lot of them have found it hard to get cigarettes because of the law, right? And now this, I would say, primary schoolers or even secondary schoolers are just getting their hands on, as long as they have the money for it, they can buy it just off anyone that is going to be able to sell it to them in a discreet manner. You don't need to tell your age. You don't need to tell who you are. You can just get it just by using some money and all that. Yeah.
What is the appeal of it? I mean, I'm just going to ask everyone, because Hong Weng, you have kids.
Yeah.
And Nadine, you've spoken to users and stuff, and Narish, you've dealt with kids who have this. What is the appeal of it, especially when they've seen how their friends react to it? You know, like, are they trying to use it as a form of escapism or something?
I think it's just trying to be with the crowd, with my friends. My friends are doing it. Why am I not doing it? And trying to be cool, I think, for kids. And at their age, they are very, very resourceful. Go on Telegram, it's anonymous. You just message someone and the thing comes. And all these Kpods, the way they are packaged, the way they look, actually, you can't really tell what it is. You can hide it in a pencil case. Are the teachers, are the principals trained to, detect what are these things? I don't think so. I think because all the devices are really very, very innocuous. So I think enforcement and checking on students is something that we need to look into.
So vapes are now basically the people who are targeting this to the young people have targeted it well, right? They have made it look like a toy, made it look like a highlighter, made it look like a very nice, trendy
Pen.
thing to carry or pen to carry, right? And so therefore, the appeal is that I want to have this as a young person. So there's a trend around it right now.
Yeah.
And so people are trying to follow the trend. There are also groups of people who are curious about what is this, right? And I want to say that there's also another demographic of people who are thinking that this is much better than me taking hard drugs.
Okay.
And so therefore, I'm going to switch to this.
Okay.
Because the side effects are lesser as compared to taking a harder drug.
Okay, but what is the misconception here? That it's not as bad as hard drugs. What is the misconception that people have about etomidate?
So from what the youths are telling me, the misconception here, it is addictive.
Oh, so
And
they don't think they'll
even
get
more addictive. Yeah.
Oh, it's even more addictive than they think it is.
Than even a K or a ketamine, they call it.
Okay.
So I think that's the misconception here, and it makes them feel that they want to take this whole day around.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's quite an escalation of, it's not just me smoking a vape, or it's just, it has a lot of effects on you. How immediate is the effect? Like, if I'm a new user, do you all know?
I think when they first start out, the new users think, I can stop it anytime I want. I'm just trying it, I can stop it. But it slowly becomes an addiction. That's what's scary. And then soon enough, they're taking it the whole day. And I would say that it is scary because for hard drugs, it's harder to get around and to get it on Telegram or wherever. But with vapes and Kpods, it's really easy to get it on Telegram. And they have so many flavors. We were looking at some of the Telegram group chats yesterday, actually. And they came up with like bubble tea flavors like Tie Guan Yin and different fruits. And then they have different flavors and it's so interesting, like cotton candy and everything. So to the young people, like the 12 and 13-year-olds, and we've seen users as young as 11 years old use it, they are so captivated by these flavors. To them, it's like, it's just another drink that I can try.
Compared to cigarettes is smelly, there's smoke. Kpods, it's sweet, many different flavors, and it's cool to just use them.
Yeah.
It appeals to the young.
Yeah. And it's as soon as one puff, you already get the side effects. The feeling of floatiness, a sense of high, right? And the speech might be a little bit staggered or slowed down. Yeah.
Nadine, is this why ST is calling it an invisible crisis?
Definitely. I think the side effects seem like it's quite invisible. Like it's something that I'll just take it, there are no side effects. And it's also invisible. It's an invisible crisis because, well, it's just insidious. It's something that people don't know that is creeping up on them. And I think parents have told us that it's the invisible crisis because they don't even know their children are taking it. And these are parents with healthy relationships with their children. It's not like they are shut off from their parents. They have conversations at the dinner table, but you don't know what your kid is doing in school and taking in school. And then they hide it, like you said, in the pencil case. It looks like a highlighter. The mom looks through the pencil case. They
can't find it.
Yeah, because to them it really does look like a highlighter or like a makeup product, someone told me. Yeah, so I think that's why we're launching this campaign, because we think that it's something that we really need to deal with. Yeah.
When you've raised this issue, well, before Kpods became a thing, you've
Yeah.
already raised this issue in
Yes.
Parliament, right? What made you choose to speak up about this issue? I mean, have you heard residents coming to you about vaping?
So I've heard residents coming to me, concerned parents. As a teacher, I do have friends who are still in the teaching service who shared with me that actually this is a big problem in schools, not only in the primary and secondary, but also in the institutes of higher learning, in the universities. And really, is there enough enforcement, to tackle this issue? And I think we can definitely do much more to make sure that people don't see it as something that's very normal, that you can just take it out, vape, and then just carry on with life. This is something that's illegal, and if something is illegal, we should make sure that we have the right resources to enforce against the act itself.
Can I ask you, since you are talking to your teacher friends, what do they say? Have they noticed kids doing it in school? And how the kids doing it if they are?
So they keep it in their pencil case, they keep it in their bag. You can't really tell what it is. Take it out, go to the toilet, vape.
Got any do during class?
I think
Because they
most...
kind of, to me, it's like they kind of need it, right?
Yeah,
Then it's like, do they like take it out?
Most of the
during
time, they just do it in the toilet.
Okay.
Because if you're doing it in the toilet, there's not really much smoke. Maybe you go in, you smell something fruity, something sweet, then maybe someone is vaping. Yeah. And it's a bit better than smoking, because if you smoke in the toilet, you can literally smell. It's
giveaway,
very,
right?
very
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of telltale signs. Yeah.
Naresh, how are the kids hiding it from adults? Have they told you?
They don't really need to hide it. They're just bringing it wherever they go, right? And they can just even smoke it really quickly. You won't even see the vapor, or you won't even see the smoke, right? I think that makes it a lot more harder to find, and the smell. If someone smells, you can smell them, and they have just smoked, right? But when it comes to vape, it's just a fruity smell.
So that's the really the giveaway lah. If you smell it, then it's someone around you doing it.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the stories? Because I know Nadine wrote it, but have you seen the stories over the weekend that ST did? Because to me, it's kind of the most heartbreaking one that stuck with me was the mom who was trying to help her kid, like so badly, and then she called a lot of agencies. So she called CMB, and then she got directed to HSA, and then she was so desperate she even called her son's army. He's in the army, and she got through to the person in charge, and the person was like, if he doesn't smoke on camp, then when he's at camp, then that's not really our problem, right? So that one was heartbreaking to me, because he tried to commit suicide in some...
Yeah, many of them have suicide ideations. They just... And they've attempted it, unfortunately. And I think what was really heartbreaking was when the mom told me, at the third time when he attempted suicide, she told me, I'm not sure if I should have just let it happen. Because if he continues down this path, it's like he's gone anyway. She looks at her son and she no longer recognizes him after all this Kpod addictions. And it's really heartbreaking, because these are parents and they care. She told me, I'm actually a parent. I feel like I'm a present parent. I care. And yet my son is still doing that. And she was telling me, imagine the parents that don't care, that have to work odd jobs and multiple jobs to keep the family afloat, and then they have no idea what's happening with their kids. I have a rough idea of what's happening with my kids, and yet it's still happening, and I can't stop it. And she's calling all these agencies. She's desperate, and it's really hard because it's broken her family.
So I wanted to ask why this happens. Why do the different agencies are seemingly not unable to help, and what needs to change, from a policy perspective?
I think when of course, when the parents call CMB, it is not under CMB's purview because etomidate is not under the Misuse of Drugs Act. It's under the Poisons Act. That's right. So they do get referred to HSA. And what HSA does is they do their best. I mean, they are really trying as well. And they issue a fine and they confiscate the vape. And the parents tell me, after that, my son just gets another vape. He can pay off the fine pretty easily and then he gets another vape. So I think what needs to be done, and we've looked at the legislation quite widely, and people have said that, it needs to be tighter, it needs to be placed under the Misuse of Drugs Act. From then, we can, there can be harsher jail terms, harsher fines, and especially for trafficking, the traffickers are dealt with properly. Yeah.
So different agencies look after different legislations. So that's what you mentioned. Currently, etomidate is under the Poisons Act itself, and it's under the purview of HSA. But HSA itself is really generally a science-based agency. They are not really an enforcement agency. Enforcement is something that they do, but I wouldn't say that it is something that is really their primary focus. So I think if it is, if Kpods and whatever is in it is under the Misuse of Drugs Act, it will be under the purview of CMB. And therefore, there will be harsher penalties. And I think by doing that, the public would perhaps sit up and recognize that it is something that the government is doing. There's something very, very serious, and the right enforcement powers will be there to deal with the problem.
So Parliament sits in September,
Yes.
still a couple of months, and you've already floated up several ideas, about sharper enforcement at borders and parcel hubs to legal updates that could classify drug-laced vape devices under the Poison Act, right? Whereas now currently under the Poison Act, you want to update it.
Yes.
Okay. You've also suggested faster testing of new substances in hospitals and toxicology labs and a 24/7 public reporting system, right? Yeah.
Today under HSA, the reporting line is only office hours.
So if you spot someone at 9 p.m., then
You can't.
too bad.
Too bad. Yeah, so maybe we should enhance the reporting channels as well. Maybe have it on an app. Besides having a number, make it 24/7, so that if you suspect that someone is trafficking Kpods or misusing this, at least the authorities would know. Get some intel and can conduct the relevant kind of actions.
I mean, I'm kind of like in between here because of what to do. Like, do you want to report kids? That's the thing that I can't sit with. Like, do you want to report kids? Although we should get them help, right? And then do we want to be like telling on each other? But what's your take? Like, if we have this like reporting line, because I've seen the video of the teenagers at Punggol, I want to say, where they're walking around, they keep belly stand, right? And then you kind of want to get them help because this is not regular behavior. And it's kind of scary if I'm a member of the public. I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening? But to me, it's always they're still kids. Do we want to report them in that sense? I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with me.
I think the most important thing is that the primary consideration is I want to help them. And am I helping them if I'm not reporting it? So I think, for me, it's still necessary to report, but what actions you take is important as well. So like for instance, you mentioned, what do we do with kids that are, doing this? Maybe, it is not to slap them with a fine or jail them, but perhaps parents or the school can take a more involved stance in terms of educating them, making sure that they know that this is very, very dangerous to their health and they should stop doing it. And more public awareness, more education campaigns, maybe even getting, personalities, celebrities to come forward and make an informed, awareness campaign to deal with this issue.
Naresh, I want to ask. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Actually, I would say just the enforcement alone may not be helpful for these young people, right? Because some of them may even want to be more rebellious. I would say that alongside with the deterrence, because some of the parents have actually really have no other avenue to seek help because the youth is not working together with them. Perhaps for that, the enforcement or the deterrence action would help them, right? But there should also be a restorative, rehabilitative route that we need to be able to seek. And as much as we are, I would say, strengthening the deterrence portion of the work, I feel like we need to also strengthen the community rehabilitative approach
absolutely.
also. And that's where I will come in for these young people. Many of them are actually lost. Many of them don't have a future direction. Some of them, they think that they know what they're going to do in the future, but they just kind of trapped in this cycle of like despair and not knowing where they are going towards to in life. So the question for us as Impart is, can we give them a place where may it be a sport or an interest that they like, and then we see what can be done for them in that community, and can we use sports as a way to help them to say that, hey, this doesn't help for you to be an athlete. Can we do a bit of a diversionary kind of work with these young people rather than just putting them in a prison or putting them in a home for that matter?
I think I'm still trying to kind of come to terms with that. This is a crisis in a sense, right? I mean, the last couple of days with the stories and everything has kind of proven, and actually, people have written to us, right? After
So
the,
many.
just want to quickly get some thoughts about
Well-
what were people saying when they wrote in.
Well, when we first launched the campaign on Sunday, we didn't expect the influx of emails that we did get. And a lot of the parents were telling me, goodness, I feel so seen. I didn't know that what I am going through with my kids are what other parents are going through with their kids. And they were they thought they were alone in this. But we received so many emails from parents, and even wives whose husbands take Kpods. Like, they said, wow, I didn't know it was such an issue. I thought it was just something that was affecting my family. They felt, and I think because of that, they felt like they could speak up. And I'm so glad they did, because in each stories they tell, more parents and more loved ones are stepping forward and saying, I'm facing this issue, I'm facing that issue with my kids. And we've seen kids who use it at such a different age range, not just 13, 14, that kind of age. We've seen like mothers who struggle with kids, with their children, adult children, like 27, 28, 29. So definitely we've really been overwhelmed with the number of emails that have come in. But I think it kind of shows and validates why we are doing this. It's certainly not an issue that it can be just swept under the rug. It's something that needs to be dealt with, and there needs to be actual change and actual action for it to be settled.
How many are you worried for your kids? Because they are at an age, they're in school, primary school, secondary school, right? Your eldest is 15.
Yep.
Which seems to be where many kids, get their hands on Kpods.
Yeah.
What is your biggest worry?
I'm worried because many of them at that age is very impressionable. They want to make sure that they can fit into the group, and they may think that doing something like this is very cool. Yeah. So naturally, as a parent, I am worried, and I hope that we can put more effort to deal with the issue.
I raised it because, to me, Singapore has a very strong anti-drug message. I mean, even from the time you're a kid, you hear it all the time. I mean, they go to school, CMB goes to, I would believe they go to schools.
Yeah.
And they talk to kids. They say, don't do this. And you kind of ingrain with it. This is how everybody knows Singapore has no tolerance on drugs, right? How do we get to this point? Like, what is different about this generation, Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, that this messaging is like completely, well, not completely, but some people just ignore it.
I think they don't think it's drugs.
Exactly.
They genuinely don't think it's drugs. They think it is something that is safer than cigarettes. I'm doing it like I rather be addicted to vapes than be addicted to cigarettes. It's like a thing, but I think it's concerning because it's a gateway drug. Many people view it as a gateway drug. So they use vapes, they start out with vapes, then they move on to Kpods which is drug-laced.
Yep.
And then what's next? I like these two things. What's next on the list?
Yep.
And then do we open the doors and open the floodgates for that to come in? And then how strong is our misuse, our say no to drugs, narrative, and to ensure that these kids don't get there. I think that's what's concerning. So they genuinely think it's okay, and that it is completely normal, and it's completely something. In fact, I've heard some people tell me that their friends tell them, why don't you vape? Like we are all vaping. Like what?
How
what's
did
wrong with
everybody
you?
become like a pusher here? Like, you know what he's like?
And it's like, and I can imagine because kids are so influenced, like you said,
Yeah.
at that age. If all their friends are doing it, I kind of feel like I need to as well.
So it first started off with the vape sellers, right? Marketing this whole manipulation scheme, I would call it, right? To say that vape is better than cigarettes. That's how it first started. Now I'm even hearing people telling me, "Hey Naresh, you know, right? Kpods doesn't have the K." So I asked, "What do you mean by that?" Right? So they said it's not ketamine. I used to be addicted to ketamine, but now I'm taking Kpods, right? And they say that the substance there is a medical grade substance. Hence, nothing will happen to me because doctors also use it. So when they are trying to justify it in this way, and they are putting a very liberal stance on it and saying it's okay, it's not drugs, it's okay, it's not cigarettes, it doesn't have tar and everything, right? So you all adults just got to chill out because we know what we are doing. But what they are actually telling me is what the vape pushers have sold that idea to them. Yeah,
That's scary.
that's really scary.
So for parents, Naresh, do you have kids?
No.
I know.
I have many kids.
Yeah, many kids. Yeah, well, you do look well. Yeah, you do look after kids. I'm
Yes.
asking because should a parent find themselves in a situation where they see their kids having vapes, right?
Yeah.
What do you do then? What do you think can be done? Like right now, before we have legislation change, like what can be done?
I think we just have to do our part as parents to to educate them, to tell them about the dangers and not shy away from the issue. And if there are certain initiatives by HSA to stop them from doing so, maybe refer to the rights agency for them to seek help.
I think there needs to be awareness amongst parents, educators, and other people who are working with young people, right? That's one. And I think that the youths need to know there are side effects for this vape and I would say vape with laced with drugs, that some people can even die. And that's medically proven already. So I think they need to realize that this is life-threatening. It's no longer, a fun thing that you're going to do.
I want to round off by asking, if we don't do anything about Kpods now, what could we possibly see in the future? Like, what's the longer term effect of not addressing it soon?
Well, I've seen videos already of those Kpod users, and they are struggling to walk. They're struggling to open the doors, and they're taking 2 minutes to open a simple door lock. And a mother told me that if this continues, right, what if we see more kids doing that and like walking around in a zombified manner, walking in the parks and everything? And it's very concerning because if there's not a legislation change, and in fact, if there's not an attitude change towards it, an attitude that says, that's wrong, I'm not going to do it. Because I think a legislation, while important, it can only go so far. If the youth continue to have relaxed attitudes towards vapes, we're fighting a losing battle.
So it's not just about Kpods, it's about vaping.
Vaping, Kpods, and that family of insidious objects. Yeah, that's why I feel.
I think it's maybe from a societal point of view, it is really, if you don't do anything about it, you're normalizing something that is illegal, and yet, as a society, we are closing our eyes on the issue, and I think that shouldn't be the case. And in fact, if something that is against the law, we will need to do something about it. We need to enforce against it. We need to make sure the right agencies are looking at the problem. We need to make sure that there's public awareness, there's education, and that we are able to do our best to eradicate it.
Yeah, I think if you don't do anything about it, the Kpod pushers are only going to get stronger in trying to add more substances.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, they could start selling other things, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have THC already on our shores. It could be more, right? And so we don't know what else these people can add. And if these young people are already vaping and they are already a potential customer, right, then actually we are at the losing end of the war, actually. That's what I feel.
Okay. So we actually have a question coming in from a viewer called Jonathan Ng. And he asked, should substances for Kpods be formally classified as controlled drugs? And what impact would this have on enforcement and sentencing? So I think this is a bit of like a what from a legal
I
point
think
of view.
currently is the most prevalent one is etomidate, and I think my personal opinion is that I think we should classify under the MDA. As to other drugs, I think the authorities will need to look into it, because I think there are various policy considerations, whether something should be under the Poisons Act or under MDA. But if something is, I mean, if the substance itself is being abused to a very large extent, and if there are really a lot of downstream implications on society, then I think we should relook at the legislation. Yeah.
Nadine?
I agree. I definitely think that etomidate, for a start, should be under the Misuse of Drugs Act and not under the Poisons Act. And I know, like you said, because of that, the legislation then can be stronger, harsher penalties. It will deter people from using it. It will deter people from trafficking it. Because right now, a lot of people are saying, I just get a fine, I just get my Kpods confiscated.
Oh, sorry, can I clarify? So you get a fine if you get caught using it.
Yeah.
If you get caught trafficking it, which has happened in the past couple of days,
Yes.
a couple of people have been caught.
It's a jailable offense.
Okay, but do they get caned?
They do not.
Would this be something that you would advocate, because caning is supposed to be a deterrent in a sense, right?
I think
We
this is
should-
something the authorities should look
Yeah,
at.
we should look into it.
Definitely.
We should look into it.
Yeah.
So how long do they get jailed for? What's the maximum sentence? Not how long, but what's the maximum?
I know that if you use Kpods or vapes, it's $2,000 maximum fine. That is, to many parents, they're saying that is not deterrent enough for my kid. Because my
Okay, but anyway,
kid
it's the
can-
parent who pays
Yeah,
it.
it's the parent who pays it. So,
I don't
what's the
know.
consequence of that?
I don't know any
Ask my parents for it.
13-year-old who has $2,000 to pay for a fine. Like,
Usually
this is-
the first few offences, I've heard it's about $300.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a parent with a child that was 16-year-old who caught the HSA, and at the end of the day, the parent is the one who paid for the fine.
Yeah.
Or they'll come to the MP and ask for appeal.
Oh no! So basically, a fine doesn't. Well, it's kind of something that they can work with, right?
If it's a
okay,
13-year-old that gets fined,
Yeah.
definitely mommy and daddy are paying for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should relook at what kind of punishment they should be getting, right? Because the punishment is for the parent,
Yeah.
for the for not controlling the child or something.
Yeah.
And I think rehabilitation is such an important topic as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you're being caught vaping, yeah, you get fined, yeah, you have your Kpod confiscated, but do you have any opportunity to go to rehab? And is it mandated? Or is it like an option? You can go if you want to, but I think if it's mandated, they'll be so much stronger.
Yeah, and we have the facilities for that. We have the National Addiction Management Service at IMH, so they can go there and they can get the help. So some of our users, we bring them there too, right? Because there is a way to tell them that, hey, actually what you are doing, need a psychiatrist, need a counselor, need someone to look at you. Right, and I think it's also a subtle messaging in the deterrence, but yet also thinking about how do you rehabilitate the young person.
I want to ask you if you have seen people who come forward on their own volition to say, I want to quit this. Because what we're hearing is like people who are caught with it. But do you all see like people who say, I want to quit, but I don't know where to start?
Yeah, we have that. So I have a boy who came to me and he says, I really need to stop this.
Because
It's not helping me. It is not helping me to go to work. And so that's when you know that addiction has got a
Taken
hold
over,
on this
yeah.
person, right? Because he's not able to go to work, he's not able to go to school. Then the school wants to let him go, expel him because of truancy, right? Then you know that actually this young person is already caught in the whole addiction process.
If the young person is aware and wants to change, that's half the battle won.
Yes.
The fact that he is approaching help and he's getting help,
Yeah.
he definitely won't go down the addiction path again if he continues the attitude. And I think
That's
that's
right,
what
that's
is very, it is.
But it's
yeah,
rare. I would
it's
say
rare.
it's rare.
Yeah.
You seldom see such cases.
Okay, well, I want to end off by asking Nadine. So, this is a question that I didn't think I would ask you, but I wanted to ask what can we see? How will Straits Times continue to cover this campaign? Because in the last couple of days, we've seen a lot of anecdotes, and I think it's, like I said, was like super heartbreaking. And also the video with the guys vaping, there were two brothers who were vaping. I don't know if you also, and that gave me the chills. And because that really put it in perspective of, because actually, to be honest, when I started doing this whole episode, I was like, nah, it's not. Are you sure it's a crisis? Yeah. But then when I saw that video, I was like, oh, okay, if this person's my neighbor and they're like, struggling to walk and stumbling about, I would be scared actually to live next to, because you're so out of it and you don't know what they're going to do to you, right? But I want to know what else ST is going to cover in the future.
I think with this campaign, we'll keep it as long as it needs to be kept, because we see it as, currently we don't see an end to this campaign. And I think that we'll continue to put out stories out there, because we believe that with each story that's being put out there, it creates awareness to the readers. It also lets people know who are going through this that they are not alone. And I think we'll continue this because something needs to be done about it. So as a team, as the crime team, we don't see an end to this campaign for now. And we'll keep putting out as much as we can so that we can just, hopefully, the next conversation we'll have is the fact that legislation has changed and that etomidate is under the Misuse of Drugs Act. And then hopefully we'll see attitudes change. That's the end goal.
Okay, hopefully we'll come back and have that conversation in a couple of months when hopefully things have like switched up, right? And then we'll see something different.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you all for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it from the usual place. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you won't miss the next episode. And if you have thoughts on what we just spoke about, drop a comment on YouTube or talk to me on Instagram at The Usual Place Podcast. I'll see you next week on Thursday, live at noon.